Guys, if you're anything like I am and you have to depend on someone to get you to and from a job, I'm going to say this first and foremost. This video is more for someone who's wanting to host someone in their house to help them get to and from work, especially if it's in a city like where I live in Mount Sterling that doesn't have a taxi cab service or a busing system for people without a vehicle to use to get to and from places like a job. If you are a person who has a vehicle, who sees a friend in need, who's like, hey, you can stay with me, I'll take you to and from work, know this. Know if it takes a month, 6 months, a year to find said job, do not put the responsibility of paying for 1 or 2 meals of their own. If it's going to be that much of a stretch for you to take them in, to feed them 3 square meals a day, or 2 if they're at a job that allows them to take a break and eat, then don't take them in. If it's at all possible to stop by wherever they're living at, work there, that where they're living. If you can be sure that you can get up, drive to their place, pick them up, and take them to work, then you don't have to take them in. But if you're someone who's afraid, well, I'm going to sleep in and it's just going to be easier if you're at our house. Well, make sure you're able to take in that extra body, because for someone, speaking from experience, I had to jump through hoops with the government just to get food stamps. It was a long, painful, annoying process because the people who took me in to get me to and from work, because the person who's taking me to and from work felt that it would be too hard for her to get herself up and drive all the way to my grandparents' house, pick me up, take me all the way back to town to the school where I'm working. So they took me in. Well, I have to pay for my own breakfast and lunch, which meant I had to go buy me food stamps because I did not have the money to buy that kind of food. That's one thing. If you're gonna sit there and look at someone and say, it's gonna be easier if you live with me, either make sure they're making money before you ask them to start buying their own food if you need them to, or make sure you're able to afford to feed an extra person. On another note, if you're taking this person in, if you took this person in and you're responsible, you're their way to and from this job, and say like in my situation, one person of the 2 people works while the other one doesn't. Well, if the person who's home 24/7 is the one taking you to and from work, and the person who works gets days off, and you're you're their way to and from work, don't look at them and say, oh, by the way, Bob's off these 3 days this upcoming week. You're going to have to find another way to work because we want to go do something. Yes, you are, as the host, yes, you are allowed to go do stuff. But don't put the responsibility and the stress on the person who needs you to scramble for another ride when you know they might not have it. If you, as the host family, wants time to go do stuff because so and so is off of work, that's fine. Take that person that you're responsible for to work. While they're at work, if it's a long time, like say 8 to 5, in that time frame that they're at work, go do stuff. But make sure that you're back to pick them up from work at 5. That way, you're not putting the stress on them wondering, okay, who can I call? Who can I get a hold of to take me to work because Bob and Jill are wanting to run off and go do something because Bob's off work. Another thing, if you know this person has taken a month, 6 months, a year to find that job, you don't have the right to look at them and go, walk into your new boss, ask him when you can get a raise, or, you can stay for now with this job, but you're going to have to quit that job and find a different job because that job's just not going to work for us. It's not about you. It's about them. It is not about you. Yes, it's somewhat about you as far as, yeah, you're spending a little more gas to take them to and from work. And it's more gas than what you probably use in a day. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's the same amount of gas that you use every day because you're home and maybe you got other stuff that you do that uses, gas in your vehicle. If you're able to afford 2 vehicles, like gas for both vehicles, you should be able to swing long enough to allow them to prove themselves to their boss, this person to their boss, to ensure that their boss will raise their pay. But if you're expecting them to go straight into their brand new boss and go, hey, thanks for hiring me, when can I get a raise? That boss has no way of knowing how well this person works out. They just started. You don't have that right. You don't have that right to tell them to go ask for a raise when they're just starting at the job. You don't have the right to tell them to quit the job that took them a month, 6 months, a year to find. You don't have that right. Don't do that. If you're going to host someone and take them to and from work, don't put extra responsibilities on them.